Get the show on the road. Good morning, all. It's Tuesday, June 23rd. Welcome. We just had the summer solstice. Yeah. This is Training Wheels, in which we take a look at A Course in Miracles and where their daily lessons. And we're on lesson 106. 106. Let me be still and listen to the truth. I was listening to Regina Dawn Akers the other day, and she said something that really crystallized uh, what I'm feeling about training wheels. She said when she wrote her um, interpretation of the New Testament, she she really was lifted by writing it. She wanted to write it. She felt compelled to write it. But then looking back on it, as time went on, she realized that while that was something she really needed to do, when she actually read the original language of the New Testament, she was reading it in a different way, and it was sort of a deeper sense. And she didn't regret in the least little bit writing her interpretation, but she also realized that she was now ready to go a little bit more deeper into a little bit more deeply into the original language. And so that's what I have found when I wrote Training Wheels. I really felt that I needed to write it. And it clarified a lot of things and solidified a lot of things for me. But as I go back now and I read the original text and the original lesson, I am finding that it is reading much more. I'm finding much, it's a frequency, it's a tone. I'm seeing it in a new way. Yeah, thank you, John. So, what I'd like to do today is read a little bit from the lesson. Let me be still and listen to the truth. And the reason this lesson speaks of Richard to me is Richard's really brilliant realization in the car, which he shared with us, of asking for assistance from the divine and hearing nothing. And then finally realizing that not hearing anything was the answer. And that struck me. I think it was a really good teaching for all of us. Sometimes when I'm still and I listen to the truth is stillness. Nothing needs to be said. And sometimes when I'm not still, I hear something. So we have um, we have been told that God's voice speaks to us all throughout the day, and that we are in continuous communication with the divine. It never stops. How could it when there's only oneness, and that is what we are? But we forget. We fall into that gap. So let me be still and listen to the truth. And what this lesson tells us is if we will lay aside the ego's voice, however loudly it may seem to call, if you will not accept its petty gifts that give you nothing that you really want, if you will listen with an open mind that has not told you what salvation is, then you will hear the mighty voice of truth, quiet in its power, strong in stillness, and completely certain in its message. Salvation. So the ego tells us that our salvation lies in getting. And that getting can even be getting our spirituality, advancing in our spirituality. Salvation can even be hearing what we think is the voice for God. But this lesson asks us to sit in stillness with a completely open mind, expecting nothing and open to anything. And what salvation is, as Ken Wapnick has told us, is really just the awareness of unity consciousness. As the guides say, it is, it is, it is, it is. And it is so simple that it is so easily overlooked. So this lesson asks us not to be deceived by the voice of the personal self. It says today, and I'm looking at, I'm in the blue book here. I'm in the foundation book here, just because that's what I use for the daily lessons. So I'm looking at paragraph 4, and it says, today the promise of God's word is kept. Hear and be silent. He, source, it, would speak to you. And that voice that is speaking is, it is, it is, it is. We might ask ourselves if the voice that is speaking is any different than what is already present. Hear and be silent, he would speak to you. He comes with miracles 1,000 times as happy and as wonderful as those you ever dreamed or wished for in your dreams. His miracles are true. They will not fade when dreaming ends. They end the dream instead and last forever, for they come from God to his dear Son, whose other name is you. Prepare yourself for miracles today. Today, allow your Father's ancient pledge to you and all your brothers to be kept. Hear him today and listen to the word which lifts the veil that lies upon the earth and wakes all those who sleep and cannot see. God calls to them through you. He needs your voice to speak them, for who could reach God's Son except his Father, calling through yourself? And yourself is your capital S self. Thus does salvation start, and thus it ends, when everything is yours and everything is given away. This sentence, thus does salvation start, and thus it ends, is another way of saying what William reminds us of all the time: there is only the now. Salvation, which is the recognition of oneness, begins and ends in the now. When else would we hear or understand anything? Today we practice giving, not in the way you understand it, not in the way you understand it now, but as it is. Each hour's exercise should begin with this request for your enlightenment. I will be still and listen to the truth. What does it mean to give and to receive? I will be still and listen to the truth. What does it mean to give and to receive? So it seems to me like this lesson is asking us to do two things. One is to enter the stillness in whatever form it arises for you in the moment. And then contemplate what giving and receiving are in truth. And I'd like, as we sit in silence, and William, I know your hand is up, and I just want to finish this if I could before we do our meditation. I'd like to ask, as we sit in meditation for 5 minutes or more, I'll time us, you don't need to worry about it, to ask yourself this question: what does it mean to give and to receive? And then we will talk about it when we come out of the meditation. So whatever form the stillness takes for you, whatever comes to you in your contemplation, know that it is exactly what is needed and allow it. Be open to anything, expecting nothing. If nothing comes, then nothing comes. Giving and receiving could be silence, but that's all I will say about it. Let me just, William, do you want to say what you wanted to say now before the contemplation?
No, it'll wait.
Okay. All right. So let's just spend 5 minutes in contemplation. Let me be still and listen to the truth. What does it mean to give and to receive? I'm going to turn my video off, and I would invite you to do the same if you like, so that you don't have to worry about anybody watching you or looking at you. Just turn your video off. Whatever's going on around you right now, just allow it to be as it is. Let me be still and listen. What does it mean to give and to receive? Let me be still and listen to the truth. What is the nature of this silence? What is the nature of the stillness? The silence and the peace. When I give everything I am to that silence, to that absolute, unlimited spaciousness, I find that it can hold everything I give it and return to me only peace. The more I give it, the more I unearth that keeps me from the stillness that is the ego's voice that covers up the stillness. The more I uncover that and give it away, the more peace I receive, the more peace I hold. This lesson says, your request, what does it mean to give and to receive? Your request is one whose answer has been waiting long to be received by you. It will begin the ministry for which you came and which will free the world from thinking that giving is a way to lose. And so the world becomes ready to understand and to receive. Be still. Give everything away and listen to the truth. Today, the Holy Word of God is kept through your receiving it to give away. So you can teach the world what giving means by listening and learning it of Him. Do not forget today to reinforce your choice to hear and receive the Word. The Word. By this reminder, given to yourself as often as is possible today. Let me be still and listen to the truth. I am the messenger of God today. My voice is His to give what I receive. Receive what is offered, the stillness, the acceptance, the peace, and give it back. Receive what arises in you. Let it move in you. You're only meeting yourself. You're only receiving yourself. So come on back and let's talk about how this lesson was for you. Well, before we start, I'll share what this lesson meant for me last night. We went out to dinner with some family, and we met in Portland, and their family that we haven't seen for a while. It's my husband's family, and they were a little bit late getting there due to miscommunication, and that was fine. But then they sat down. There were 6 of us, and 2 people to my left talked across the table to each other the entire evening. And then the 2 people that were sitting next to each other across the table talked to themselves the entire evening. And my husband and I basically sat and weren't part of it. So we talked to each other, and that was fine. A lot of what the family talked about was money and hunting and very superficial things. I'll just put it that way. I felt that I could not participate. You know, Alka talked about before we started how wonderful this group is because we can talk and share and listen to each other. And I thought about that at that dinner. And my husband and I sat through the dinner and it was fine. And we got home and I was lying in bed at night and I was really distressed. I was restless. I couldn't go to sleep. My mind was really going. And so I said, I knew this was going to be the lesson. And let me be still and listen to the truth. And I tried to be still, but my mind would not be still. And so I asked, what is the truth? Why can't my mind be still? What is going on here? I inquired. And the answer comes through a feeling sense. It's not verbal. It comes through this feeling sense, and it's almost like I'm trying on an answer. And when the answer fits, it's like a key unlocks in the door and my heart opens. And what the answer was for me was I was judging everyone at the table and feeling separate. I was reinforcing the separation at the table. I was listening to them talk. I was feeling like I had nothing to contribute. I was feeling ignored. And I was accepting that as the truth of the situation and then judging everyone for it. And so I lay in the silence and looked at that judgment and went to every single person and undid the judgment and recognized, ah, the divine is in Karen, cousin Karen, and the divine is in Tate, who talks about hunting. The divine is still there. It's a beautiful thing. The divine is in Clayton, and the divine is in every other person sitting at that table. And it was all perfect. And in order to accept that, I also had to accept that divine was in me and that my forgiveness was something I was capable. I am capable because I'm worthy of understanding forgiveness, just as they're worthy. And as I worked through that, through the inquiry, I gave all my guilt, all my misunderstanding to Source. I gave all of it to the unlimited open space. And what did I receive back? No judgment, just the peace of silence. And that was how the lesson unfolded for me. Not looking outside the answer for the answer, like they are wrong because they do this. They are wrong because they ignored me. They are wrong because they invited us to dinner and then they ignored us. No, it was all in here, every bit of it. That was the truth. So I laid aside the ego's voice. I was still and listened to the truth, sensing my way into it, recognizing it because it felt right and certain. The answer felt right and certain. Right? It was all coming from my own faulty perception and my own agreement to separation. So I share that with you. And that was my experience with this lesson. And I'll open it up now and would love to hear from all of you. Regis, your hand is raised, but would you mind if I ask William? Okay. William, you're at the head of the table.
Well, uh, as much what I want to share is loneliness. Talk about loneliness. Feel lonely, alone, lonely. I spent hours this past night, and it's like what my contribution is, this feeling of loneliness. It's like I know the now, and yet my contribution is loneliness. It's the juxtaposition of the two. it's like that's the role I play as part of this oneness that I also feel a part of. Because when I'm silent in the now, it's all okay. But boy, when I'm in that space, that position of lonely, so separate, it's so painful. And it's like I welcome the pain. I just, it's like steeping in it, seething in it. And what fruit it was. You know, I've mentioned I've been a part of this Bible study group. Boy, I tell you, it has been such a confrontation for me. And so I see that I'm I'm stuck because I must present who I am to the group, but I have so much resistance to identifying with the Bible. And then what I realized, this word in our lesson here today, is that your belief. What I saw, this I've got this I've got this battle going on in me called my belief. I don't know what I believe. It's like I should believe, but what do I believe? I don't I don't know what God is. I don't know what the Bible. Those are words for me. And it's just, so here I am. I'm being asked to stand up in this group in my image to share with it because they are so strong about what they believe is right and they feel so good about it. And I envy that kind of certainty and oh, I know this, and they're good people, good, strong people. And here I am without a leg to stand on. What do I believe? What do I believe? It's so, oh my God, talk about alone and separate. Oh my goodness. So I lay in bed this morning 3 hours. It's belief. I'm hanging on to a belief that I don't even know what to believe. It's just fantastic. The convolutions that I'm going through doing somersaults inside. Wow. And feeling the pain of separation while I'm doing this. I'm chuckling now because it seems so far away, and yet it was so real. And then finally, I take a holiday. I go to Salpo. Okay, all I am is awareness. Oh my God. Here I've been trying to have a belief like a shield and a sword to do battle. It's so silly, but no, it's so real. And then suddenly it all just begins to melt away. And I see my sweet wife doing her exercises, and I could just crawl on the floor beside her and just hug her. Oh my goodness, such love, such love. Yes, I just so love. And in the when I don't feel that love, I can feel so forlorn and lonely. And now it's getting easier for me to admit this because I don't look that way. I don't act that way. I got lots of friends, lots of people that say nice things about me. But the truth is, what do I really know instead of trying to believe something I don't really believe? And it reminds me when I first came across the Course in Miracles in 1970, whatever it was. Oh, oh, I don't have to believe the Bible. Oh, I can. Oh my God, wait a minute. I got a leg to stand on. Oh my goodness, look what I found. Oh my goodness, unexpected. Wow. Is it really true? I'm never upset for how many times, thousands of times I've said that. So I just wanted to share because listen, listen, listen. Silence, silence, silence. Now, I don't even know what the hell the word now, but I know what now is. And it's silence. It's just is. So, and yet what helps me know that is feeling so lonely in the moment of that now, pretending that as opposed to knowing who I am. Well, that's what I wanted to share.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to be so.
Thank you. That was, I have a feeling that that's going to elicit a lot of comment, a lot of thought and sharing itself. Regis, you had your hand up.
All right, then. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hey, Lonnie. Boss lady. Um, First, I have to say, Amy, we are one mind. Everything that you said, uh, I'm saying with just different characters. So it's almost like the thought system of saying, why are you even saying it? But I know that's the thought system. Uh, but we're here to share. Uh, so I'm going to answer the question that was presented when we went into meditation, which was about giving and receiving. But I'm going to start with um, if you will lay aside the ego's voice, however loudly it may seem to call, if you will not accept its petty gifts that give you nothing that you really want. And as you stated about your experience at dinner, well, this morning, uh, this lesson was so clear as the thought system presented itself. And I just said, you're not the boss. We're not talking about that. There's nothing there to talk about. As it was presenting ideas of judgment, who was wrong, who should have, or whatever, the stories, just different stories. Uh, and I just said, no, there's nothing there. There's nothing there to talk about. There's nothing there to see. And so this first line just reminded me that if you would not accept those petty thoughts, those judgments, and one of the things that I say in that I forgive myself for the judgment. I forgive myself for the judgment. And that's my centering space that brings me back to a more silent place. Um, and I did, and then from that there was a something that was revealed that we know and we don't know. Some people sometimes we don't know the difference between what we're thinking and what we're feeling. And you can ask somebody, well, what do you feel? And they tell you what they're thinking. you know.
So true. That is so true.
And so it was given to me that it is very important that you separate and understand the difference between thinking and feeling. And so I asked, well, what is this feeling that William described, loneliness, this feeling of uh, being unlovable, not enough, the trauma, the deep anger and fighting, that sense of fighting and feeling angry about it, what people do or don't do, or how people act, or what is the feeling? And as it was given in a flash, I went back into the womb, WOMB, not the womb, WOND, the womb. And I was shown in just a matter of seconds the trauma of the water breaking, being inside there. That's lonely. There is no love. The mother is in pain. She's not loving on that baby, that infant inside of her at that point. She is discomfort. She is in trauma. She is in agony. And I'm inside trying to get out, fighting. That's why she's so discomfort, because I'm fighting. Let me out of here. And so I always say, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? And sometimes we don't get that. When feelings come up in a nanosecond, we can attach them to a story. Oh, this is why I'm feeling this person, that person, this situation in the world. But it's not. It's like this trauma, this feeling of agony and separation and loneliness and terror of trying to exit this womb, this terror, this rip. And many of us get here, and the fortunate ones have parents that will soothe us and soothe us and soothe us as they raise us from infantry. But many of us don't. And those traumas and those scars, the scar tissue of trauma, filters everything we see. Everything. How we see ourselves in the world, how we see the world, what we like, what we don't like, what make us comfortable, what make us uncomfortable. And so placing that trauma in the light to be healed. We do not have to leave this earth with that trauma of the womb. We don't. Most of us do, but we don't. Because we don't place it in the light. And we keep blaming other people for this feeling of agony and distress that comes over us just out. That's what trauma does. It just pops up. It just pops up. And then we start blaming people. And we call them triggers. You know, not really. And so giving and what do I give? When knowing this, understanding this, the deeper I go into this, the more I can offer what God, divine, what love, what light has always, every moment, every second of the day offers me. And just like you said, I mean, when you see, oh, that's God in this person, that's God in that person, there's light, there's love in everybody I see. So I give everyone the same thing God gives me, that love gives me, which is, I still love you. You are my beloved child in whom I'm well pleased. No matter how you perform. When I've been a bully, when I've been mean, resentful, vindictive, rejecting, unwelcoming, the loving presence still says, I love you more than ever. I hold you more than ever. I embrace you more than ever. And everybody that presents themselves in this world, in this body, I offer them that. That's why when you hear me speak of Donald Trump, you hear grace. because he has the same struggle. He has the same womb. Everybody that I can say that somebody done me wrong song, and I can put all the characters and names in it from the history of my life. I can offer them. In my heart, I'm like, God, let them feel whole. Let them feel complete. Let them know that they are truly loved and that they don't have to perform, that they are enough. And what this loving presence has given me, I give to others. What I receive, and I know I receive it on my worst day and in my best day, in my worst moment and in my best moment. I know because I exist. No other proof that I am perfectly, unconditionally loved. And everything is for me. There's no punishment. There is nothing being withheld. And so I offer that. I offer that to people I see, to people in my life whom I didn't think did the right things, that treated me in the right way, uh, to people in the community, to, and as I had this experience of before I entered into my mother's womb. That's who I am. That's who I am. And how my mother raised me, how my daddy raised me is irrelevant. They did their job. I wanted to be here. I got here. We had an agreement to get here. Me and the divine, as the divine. And the seed and the sperm, they came together. And they got me here. So there's no, you didn't do enough. You didn't raise me right. There's nothing but grace. And I began to thank the fathers, the mothers, whether they were irresponsible, whether they were somebody was sex was being forced on them, they didn't even want to have it. However we got here, no judgment. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And as we got here in this world, everything was set. These are just alarms that we set before we entered our mother's womb to help us, to remind us of the truth of who we are. Every upset, every rejection, every discomfort, every pain is just like, hey, wake up. And it's like in the natural, we set an alarm clock beside our bed to wake us up really early. And when it goes off, we get mad at the clock. Or some of us, we may hit the clock, knock it off the nightstand, but we set it. And you can truly rest in this space that love truly holds no grievances. There is nothing to grieve. Everything is performing just as it needs to perform to help me remember that I am the truth of God. I am the light of God. We can say, it's funny, we can say, and I'm stopping on this note, that we can say, I am the ocean. We're getting to that place where we're allowing our self to wrap around the idea that I am the ocean. But isn't the ocean representative of God? Can't we say, I am God? What's the resistance? What's the uncomfortableness of just saying, I am God? I
Well, that sounds like Rupert Spira to me.
am love, and love holds no grievances. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Regis. My goodness. I'm gonna turn Tuesdays over to you, my friend. I think you would do a great job. Uh, yeah, thank you for that. You got a lot of heads going like this. A lot of smiles on that one. You know, I want to thank William too for talking about loneliness. Um, and I have a lot of things to say about the whole loneliness thing because it's definitely real and it's there. And I think in the non-dual tradition, loneliness can be a very loud voice. Um, and we almost feel in the non-dual tradition as though if I if I ask for help from anything other than myself, who is the divine, then I'm I'm not understanding the non-dual tradition. But sometimes we need to do that. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. Because I don't see everything from where I am. I have agreed to limit what I can perceive as the one. So I can most certainly ask for help from other aspects of my own true self. And that doesn't betray a thing. It doesn't impose ignorance or say that there's a misunderstanding. Not in the least. I'm going to turn it over to Lonnie. Lonnie, I saw you loving what Regis was saying. How did that go for you this morning? Yes, a bridge is helpful here.
Good morning, family. There is so much to be said that I almost can't say anything at all. That word loneliness is an interesting word for us because I would say that for most of this existence, there was no awareness of that in this system. I've never been alone in that sense that I hear other people talk about. But I can say that in the last couple of years, I think I've maybe experienced loneliness as I've moved more and more deeply into the knowing of who and what I am. And it's that loneliness hmm, of existing in a truth that feels like it can't be spoken aloud. When Regis was saying about, what's wrong with saying I am God. And I really kind of let that ring through my system because I've been saying, I can't even say how long now, I am love. I am the energy of love. I express as the energy of love. Why can't I say I am God? And immediately what comes is a whole racket of all of what comes forward with those three letters. And for this being God means guidance of the divine. So it's not what comes forward in my understanding of what it is. It's what comes forward or what's anticipated in other people who may hear me say, I am God. Some years ago, I was living here in Florida. Driving along, I get to a stop sign, and I think I've told some people here this before. I get to a stop sign, or not a stop sign, a red light, and I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, flowing through my system is, I am Jesus Christ. I am Jesus Christ. I am the Christ. I am the Christ. Like coming from everywhere. And I think, okay, here I am going totally fucking crazy right now. And it was so overwhelming energetically, I could barely breathe. I start sobbing. And I'm saying, but why? Why is this happening? That was what I wanted to know. And what came back at me was an awareness of the number of people who had realized the divine of themselves and acknowledged it as Jesus Christ, and then been locked up in an institution for that acknowledgement. And I wept.
Yeah.
Coming into the understanding that I now walk in, and this surrender walk has really dragged all the skin off my butt. um, and it's part of why I'm so silent so often now too, is there's nothing else to say but that.
Mm.
I am the energy of love, the energy of the divine, the energy of awareness. There's no other words that I need to say sometimes besides that. There's no explanation or anything. I think about what Regis was talking about as a newborn baby, and there's this knowing in this system that when a baby comes through, even after it's had the experience it may have had in that mother's womb of stress or whatever the mother's going through, that baby gets here knowing that it is of the divine.
Mm.
It's only when the world starts impacting it in separation that it starts to question and then forget that.
Mm.
It took me 3 years, 3 days to get here. They had to go in and pull me out.
Mm.
And I have memories all the way back to the crib. Fear never was in there. Fear was only when I was dealing with adults that were shaping my life,
Mm.
shaping my beliefs, shaping my experience. But I can honestly say that even in all the confusion of this orientation, there's always been a root of understanding and knowing. Mm. That what I was being told was at its core not true. I didn't know what truth was, but I knew that that wasn't. I don't know where this is going, so I'm gonna stop talking now. Love you all.
Love you too. There's a great YouTube video, and I've looked for it, but I can't find it, of Rupert Spira um, in a teaching moment with a woman who says, "How can I possibly be God?" Patricia, you maybe you've seen it, and he takes her to the I am, and knowing that I am the I am, and then asks, "Isn't that what God is?" And she says, "Yes, that's what God is. It's the I am. It's the same thing." And so what works for me oftentimes is I am God's being. I am God's being.
The
Well,
reason that we came to the place of we'll just figure out how to just be love is because whenever we looked for it someplace else, it always came back in pain and in something else. And so there was an invitation to stop looking out there for it and then see what happens. And that's how we got to where we got to. Long before we came to this group, that's what we were saying. I will just be love.
thank you. I have a sense within me, Cindy, that there's more to be said about this loneliness subject. And so maybe we can talk about it at another time. We are at 11:01 and we are going to be joining again in an hour. Um, William,
With
Do you want to close us out?
Just 4 words. I am here now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, Cindy, I'll turn it back over to you.